Folks, several years ago, I was working with one of the largest airlines in the U.S. They had just recently gone through a downsizing, so everyone in my class had recently, through no fault of their own, lost their job. The course I was teaching was transitioning from one job to the next. The content of the course was how to write a cover letter and a resume, how to use your contacts to network effectively into interviews, and how to interview effectively to be the selected candidate. All the participants in this workshop were jet engine mechanics. Most of them were 20 to 30 years old. I did have a couple of people who were closer to retirement. But right before I started the class, I had a gentleman come up to me and ask me, "Craig, would you mind if I addressed the class before you started your comments?" And I said, "Well, I don't have a problem with that. Go ahead and knock yourself out." As he addressed the class, he said, "Folks, all of you know me. You know I've been working here for 35 years. I'm excited about this transition. I know everybody's not. I'm excited about this transition. I am moving from this company to what I've always wanted to do. I'm going to my dream job. This is something I've wanted to do for 35 years. If I could give you a bit of advice, all of you who are just starting out in your careers, if you don't want to be a jet engine mechanic all your life, get out now or get out soon." You see, I didn't want to be a jet engine mechanic all my life. Yes, that's what I did. I had a dream. I had something I knew I really wanted to do. It was my passion. But I got comfortable with making a pretty good salary. I settled for a fairly decent benefits package. I compromised, working for a company that was a nice company to work for, doing a job I got a moderate amount of satisfaction out of. And when I did compromise, when I did settle, I lost my drive to work toward my perfect job, my dream job. When I settled, I lost my motivation. And my suggestion to you is, don't be like me. I regret those decisions. I wish I had made this move years ago. And by the way, folks, I wish you well on your transition. I hope you find a place beyond this one that you really like working at. And at that point, he left. Well, to me, that was such a powerful moment. Without even saying anything around the class, I said, let's take a 10-minute break. I wanted to give these folks ample time to fully digest the message this guy with 35 years of experience was sending them. And so as I walked into the break, my first emotion was elation. I was so happy for this guy. Here's a guy who is finally getting a chance to do what he always wanted to do for 35 years. This is his dream job. This is his pipe dream, whatever you want to call it. He's moving on to something that he believes is going to be better than where he's been for the last 35 years. That emotion, however, didn't last very long. Very soon after, it turned to sadness. Sadness that here's a guy who had spent 35 of his years compromising, doing something that obviously meant a lot to him, but he compromised in that he got a moderate amount of enjoyment out of it, when it's possible he could have been doing something with a lot of passion that he loved doing every day. You know, Jim Collins wrote a book. It's about companies rather than individuals necessarily, but the principle is the same. And the title of the book is Good to Great, again written by Jim Collins, and I want to read you just a little bit of it because it really ties into what I'm suggesting. On the first page of the book, he says, "Good is the enemy of great." And that is one of the key reasons why we have so little that becomes great. We don't have great schools primarily because we have good schools. We don't have great government primarily because we have good government. Few people attain great lives in large part because it is just so easy to settle for a good life. Now, folks, I'm not denigrating a good life, and I'm not suggesting we have to have a great life or that everything in our life has to be great. But what I am suggesting is there are certain things that are really important to us, and maybe we got to be careful how much we settle for less in those areas that to us are really important. You know, the statement, the minimum you accept is the maximum you will get, suggests that whatever level we're willing to settle at, we shouldn't expect life to come along and give us twice as much. It doesn't work that way, because once we settle, we're not doing the things that would change it. It's also suggesting that if relationships are really important to us in our life, and so we really want them to be great, we better be careful if we settle for a relationship that's good, because that's going to end in regret. Or if our career is something that is really important to us, we got to be careful not to settle for a good career, which could end in regret. You know, when I sit at the table of life for the last time, and I'm ready to cash my chips in, I want to make sure that I've created a life that has led to the fewest regrets. My strategy for that is to think about all the things that to me are really important and make sure in those areas I settle the least. So my suggestion is consider the statement, the minimum you accept is the maximum you'll get. When you're making decisions around those things that to you are really important, thinking about how much do I want to settle in this area? And considering that will help you make better decisions that will lead to fewer regrets. Folks, that's my perspective. What's yours? Swing by our website, leave us a comment or a question. Check out other videos like this one, and if you like this one, please pass it on. It's been a pleasure being with you. Till next time, see you.